Good thing I'm wearing clothes because that's bloody high. Now, today is the first day of a September mini cut. And naturally, I thought I'd take you guys through exactly what I'm gonna do to drop a few kilos, tighten up my conditioning, and do so in a way that is going to allow me to get bigger and leaner over time and to help prolong the life cycle of a bulking period. So I'm gonna explore some of the science behind how to go about things when you're looking to drop a few kilos but preserve as much muscle mass as possible, and look at a variety of different things that you want to think about when looking to lose weight. We're talking training, supplements, the foods that I'm eating, the way that I'm going about eating in terms of my meal timing, my meal structure, how I go about tackling meals out, and various other things as well. So if you haven't already, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, because over the next couple of weeks, I'm gonna take you guys through how to run a successful mini cut. Okay, so I thought I'd give you guys a bit of an insight into my current conditioning, my start point of this mini cut, if you will. So for those of you that don't know, I am around 186 centimeters tall, which is roughly 6'1", 6'2", give or take. I'm sitting just underneath 101 kilos, which is around 222, 223 pounds. So as you can see, I'm still relatively lean through my midsection. I have a little bit of separation through my quads. I tend to hold most of my weight through my midsection, particularly around my love handles, as you'll see when I turn around. I'm quite fortunate I don't carry a lot of body fat through my abs, so typically I tend to keep them for the majority of the time. Still got a little bit of definition through my arms and my chest, as well as my obliques, but as you can see now that I turn around, most of my weight is through my love handles, and I don't stay quite as lean through my back as I do through the front. Also not very good at bodybuilding style poses, which is why you've never actually seen me compete on stage. As you'll see here, I still have my right quad, which is on the left of screen, is bigger than my left quad, which is super frustrating. Trying to do something about it by incorporating plenty of unilateral type work. Whenever I do leg extensions, I'm always looking to perform them one leg at a time to make sure that they're each working independently, and doing plenty of things like lunges as well. Okay, so I'm gonna introduce you guys to the MyPhysique Dashboard, which is what I'm gonna be using to run my mini cut for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So as you can see, my macros are listed just underneath the macros for today's section. There's an extensive questionnaire that I ran through to allow the system to calculate my macros and my calories for me. I've had this account for a little while, which is why I've not actually uploaded my initial progress images, but I've already submitted my first check-in in line with the video that I've just shown you right there. So as you can see here, I've got my initial progress pictures, which I've just screenshotted from that video I've taken, and I've entered it in with all of my other measurements. So you'll see my weight here at 100.5 kilograms on the 9th of the 9th. I've only got the 2 weight measurements from when I first opened the account, and then the second one just now. And then underneath that, I've got my measurement tracker. So my waist came in at 92 centimeters, my hips at 107, my arms averaged out to be 40 centimeters, while my legs averaged out to be 67 centimeters, and my chest was at 115 centimeters with my arms down by my waist. When it comes to measuring, I would simply recommend you guys just look to stay consistent in regards to the way that you go about measuring things. So for instance, whenever I measure my waist, I always take that measurement in line with my belly button, because that is never going to change. My belly button isn't going to move, which means that's always going to allow me to take an accurate reading, or at least compare the same spot week in, week out. Now, the progress tracking section of the MyPhysique Dashboard is very cool. As I enter in each individual check-in, they're all gonna come up one on top of each other here. So as the weeks go by, I'll be able to compare my progress physically, as well as the measurements I enter, in addition to the measurement tracker just down here. It's gonna allow me to track the macros that I hit each and every week as well, so that I can compare my compliance to the progress that I make. So naturally you would think the higher my compliance in terms of the macros that I'm hitting, the better my progress in terms of fat loss is concerned. Now, the really cool thing about the MyPhysique Dashboard is that it's allowed me to customize my macros to better suit my lifestyle. Now, what you'll see here is that I've ticked the incorporate higher and lower days, which basically means I have the opportunity to carb cycle. Now, what works best for me is when I can eat a little bit more food on a Tuesday, which is typically a big leg day for me, as well as a Saturday, which is my big upper body and arms day. So that gives me an opportunity to train on those 2 days with a little bit more food, have a little bit more freedom on one of my weekend days before heading back to a lower day on the Sunday, which is when I don't train. So all I've done here is I've selected these 2 days, both Tuesday and Saturday, and then I've used this sliding scale to actually automatically recalculate my macros on those days. Now, inside the MyPhysique Dashboard, we'll also be able to see my training, which is what I'm going to be doing for this first week. Obviously, next week, my training will load from there as well. I can see my full week of training at any one time before the next week of training is loaded from there. In addition, I've got all sorts of stuff down here, which is going to help me stay on track. As a client, obviously, I need access to things like recipes. We've got over 2,000 inside the dashboard to help with hitting macros. In addition to an extensive user guide section, which you can see at the top here, that contains everything you need to know about flexible dieting, how to track your macros, how to calculate your macros, how we have calculated your macros. So if you click on any one of these here, you'll see that a cheeky little article just pops up to run through how we've calculated the numbers that you see in your dashboard, as well as a bunch of how-to guides to help you with being a better flexible dieter. Okay, so we're heading into the gym now. We've got my first upper body workout of the program. I'm following the Build 2.0 training template from the MyPhysique platform, and we're starting off with an incline dumbbell bench press. We're looking at operating within a RIR of 2 to 3 repetitions. So every single set that we do today, we want to make sure that we have 2 to 3 reps left in the tank. So that should give you an idea of just how heavy you should be going. Moving on into a cable face pull. You'll see I'm using a split stance to perform this exercise, simply so that I'm better balanced and can still engage my core throughout the duration of the exercise. So rather than allowing my rib cage to flare and my chest to point towards the ceiling, I'm making sure that my abs are hard. If someone was to punch me in the stomach, it would be hard. My abs are engaged and switched on so that I can actually isolate my rear delts. Moving on next to a dumbbell shoulder press. Again, we're going 4 sets of 12 reps, controlled tempo of 2-1-1-0, making sure that we are pushing our feet into the ground to create a nice stable base with which to push from. And you'll notice too that I'm not quite locking out my elbows at the top of the range, simply to ensure that the load never actually leaves my shoulders and I'm working for the entire set. Moving on to one of my favorite exercises, the cable chest fly. You'll see that my shoulder blades or my scapula have been retracted and depressed. So basically I've pulled them back as hard as I possibly can, and then I have depressed them as well. So drop them as low as they can be, which will actually mean that I can't get my hands any closer than the line of my shoulders, as you'll see here. Really important that you maintain this position through your shoulder blades to far better isolate the chest. A lot of people tend to have issues with feeling this exercise through their shoulders. This will eliminate that issue. Moving into some arms now, we've got an incline dumbbell bicep curl. You'll see here that my head is always back on the bench, and that's going to actually allow us to get a better stretch through the biceps. Now, I'm controlling the movement on the way down, getting a full stretch, even squeezing my triceps at the bottom of the movement before pulling the dumbbell back up without using any momentum. You'll see these get quite challenging, and what we want to be doing with the arm work, this workout rather, is ensuring that we're operating to an RIR of only 1 rep. So 1 rep left in the tank at the end of each set to help you with dictating how much load you should be lifting. Finishing off the workout with a cable tricep kickback. Again, we're incorporating that slow negative rep to really look at creating some solid muscle damage. You'll see that I maintain the position I'm in throughout the duration of the exercise, and the only thing that's moving here is the joint at the elbow. We are isolating the triceps with this one rather than using any form of swinging or momentum to get the job done. That's gonna be it for today, guys. Thanks for watching along. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty more in this series to come.